how do we hold those who work outside of our interests to account? How do we do this through our policy? How do we do this through organization? So we have something called the We Matter campaign. It's not that we don't support marches. Adpac won't hold marches or request marches. But what we will do is work with and on behalf of those who are organising marches and signpost all of the organisations that are community interest organisations for those who are impassioned to go on marches to go and volunteer with, or it's a wasted exercise. If we galvanise and capacity build all of these people to come out and march and then they go home and go back to their jobs the next day, it's a waste of time. So what we do is systemic. Now, what the We Matter campaign does is work with hundreds of influencers to shoot 2-minute short-form effective communications. What we do is release those communications as a thunderclap, day, date, and hour. Then what we do is we put out a mandate to the public. And this is where this piece of information comes in. What we ask you to do to get involved in the We Matter campaign is record your own version of the campaign. So we ask you to copy and paste the text that is to accompany your video. We ask you to record a short self-filmed video which is off the lines of a script, but with entirely your own perspective, but to keep it within the confines of 2 minutes. Then what we have is an upload schedule where everybody follows the same day, date, and time upload schedule. And then we ask you to upload that video and the written text to all social media platforms. So that's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all of the above. Now, what that does is provides us with a level of organization that we've never realized in the history of being in this country. This is a level of accountability where we are robustly calling to action the entire population, which is 3 million of us. We've never been this organized. We've never done this before. What happens is we work in our silos, in our disjointed pockets. Now, because we don't have a line to take or effective communication between us, our issues get lost. So let's take, for instance, when the Windrush Scandal was completely exposed and we realized that the British government was actually practicing Afrophobia and institutional racism towards the African Caribbean population by destroying the records, which were the legal naturalization records of not only those who came to build the NHS, the London Underground, the civil service, and many other civic areas of Britain after it was destroyed in the Second World War, but also the naturalization papers of their children. Now, Amber Rudd admitted this on camera. So this was a racist policy that was put into practice. And then what they did was, like our policy of coordinating with all agencies, coordinated activity through the Home Office, with the Immigration Service, with law enforcement, the DWP, Department for Work and Pensions, the National Health, local authority, and then the educational authority if there were any children involved that they wanted to isolate. This is what we call the hostile policy. Now, that is what institutional racism looks like, and we should be under no illusion. So, because we are aware of that, what we also realize is what we didn't have in place. What we didn't have in place was the effective organization to represent us. Because at this time, what would have happened is our Justice Department and our Politics Department would have dealt with government and had a peer conversation at a national level, not only exposing it as institutionally racist, but also by having a forensic investigation into all of the activities, including the public interview of the whistleblowers, and then through our employment department, the full protection of those whistleblowers. So when you look at our employment department, think about how many of us work in public areas of life, civic life, who feel vulnerable based on bullying and racism. Imagine now how they may better protect us if we can better protect them, and they know that they have a population of 3 million behind them and an organization with a national leadership, and then the regional borough chapters and regional county chapters where all of the grassroots organizations are going to get behind them and protect them. So this goes for the BPA, the Black Police Association, Equality for Black Nurses, and a number of other ethnicity-specific organizations. As I said, Adpac is not a race organization, so we don't keep truck with BAME and the othering that BAME and the conflation of ethnicities created. So there is white here where the real money remains, white English, and then there was BAME. So you guys go for BAME money. Now, when you think about the number of ethnicities that we're competing with, because BAME became a growing group for othering, there's mainstream money. Don't worry about that, guys, because there's BAME-specific money. Now, if you think of a trillions turnover GDP and the fact that 90 million might be ring-fenced for BAME organizations, but also that white LGBT organizations might fit the criteria for those BAME resources. Doesn't make sense to any of us that those who don't experience racism, definitely not institutional racism, that have a robust representation as a protected group, which African Caribbeans in the United Kingdom are not under legislation, should be entitled to resources specifically for and on our behalf.